Okay, that was section 31. I've got some thoughts. Let's talk about it.
Of course, I want to give you my thoughts about the movie, but I do want to start off by talking about a couple of other things. Nuance, and of course, being a fan. And please comment below, let me know what you think about all of this. But let's start with nuance. So before I start talking about a Star Trek film, I want to talk about Star Wars.
Right. What's your plan?
A few days ago, I got my phone, opened up Threads, and started a post with the words, "in my opinion." I followed that up next with my opinion being that the best Star Wars content concentrates on the struggles of ordinary people and that the Jedi are a mere mythical presence. Now, whilst this post didn't get the highest engagement I've had when I've posted my opinions on Threads, it still got enough. And of course, it got people trying to call out my opinion, tell me that I'm wrong. And listen, I'm not trying to say that my opinion is the only right one. Ultimately, I am just a random person on the internet, and other people, you're all entitled to your opinion. We are all entitled to our opinion. However, what I want to talk about is the nuance of my opinion, because some of the responses seem to read things in my statement that I hadn't written. They weren't there. I didn't say that Jedi-led stories are bad, but people seem to think that when you say you like one thing more, then you hate the other thing. That's far from it. Like, I love Clone Wars, I love Revenge of the Sith, and these are very Jedi-led stories. But basically what I'm trying to say is it's possible to hold two opinions. They might be differing, but you can hold both of them. And this is a problem that I'm finding with the discourse online when it comes to things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. Opinions have become tribal and black and white, and nuance has died. So let's talk about Section 31. Section 31 was initially pitched as a TV series, but after years of development hell and then a well-deserved Oscar win by Michelle Yeoh, it turned into a film instead that would go straight to streaming. This is Star Trek's 14th film, and it's the first to not be released in cinemas, and it's not good. In fact, I would go as far as saying that this is probably one of the worst Star Trek films. Nemesis, Into Darkness, I'm looking at you. But there is some nuance to that opinion. Because if Section 31 was released as an action sci-fi completely unattached to the Star Trek universe, then do you know what? It's a pretty fun, if forgettable movie. You know, it moves along at a decent enough pace. The story, while predictable, is interesting enough. It teases enough to be sort of a potential franchise starter, and actually the biggest highlight of it is the cast. The cast are absolutely brilliant in their roles. Of course, there are issues throughout it, obvious plot lines, missed opportunities for true character development, and a god-awful Irish accent. But the biggest problem is that this is a Star Trek film. Everything is attached to the Star Trek universe. There are references all the way through it. There are aliens who were brought back from the original series and older movies. We have characters who go on to be significant parts of Star Trek lore. And of course, all of it is based on Georgiou, who was a big part of Star Trek Discovery. And as a Star Trek film, Section 31 doesn't seem to realise why people like Star Trek. Look, I'm not saying that there's no room in the Star Trek universe for this type of story. However, at the core of Star Trek, every single Star Trek film, is hope. And I just didn't feel it here. This felt more like the Suicide Squad in the Star Trek universe. Not that Suicide Squad, that one. In my last video, I ranked the Star Trek films according to my own sort of personal preference, of course, and if I was to add this to that ranking, then it's going to go straight into that F tier. But if it wasn't a Star Trek film, I'd actually probably put it in the B tier. Last thing that we need to discuss though, fans. I have loved Star Trek for over 30 years. I started watching Star Trek The Next Generation when it was shown on BBC Two every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I have met casting crew who have worked on Star Trek. Robert Picardo even came to see my Fringe show in 2017. I have memorized so many facts, dived into so much media and lore surrounding Star Trek. However, this does not make me any more of a Star Trek fan than someone who has just started watching Star Trek or someone who has differing opinions to me. There are old and new fans that will like this film, and that's perfectly fine. The only thing that will keep a franchise like Star Trek alive is attracting new fans, and movies like Section 31 and series like Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, they've attracted new fans. For anyone my age who grew up on The Next Generation in that era of Star Trek, any negativity we feel about New Trek is probably how fans of the original series felt about the Trek that we love. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about Section 31. It might not be your Trek, but it's definitely someone else's. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, trying to head towards 500 subscribers on this channel. But thanks for watching.